ಸೇನೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಅಭಿನಂದನೆ ಕೂಡ
Shri
ತಿಳಿಸ್ತೇನೆ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದನ್ನ ಹೇಳಿ
Randeep Singh
ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು
Surjewala.
ಸಭಾಪತಿಗಳೇ, ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ, ಜೈ ಹಿಂದ್.
Not present. Shri Jawhar Sircar.
Sir, thank you very much for this opportunity, but it pains my heart to see all the empty benches. You know why it's empty, but I had to come back because I didn't want West Bengal, the opposition and the Trinamool Congress to go unrepresented. Sir, I came back because it's my duty to dispel a dangerous delusion that this government suffers from. There is a delusion that everything is well, and in this self-delusion, the government of the day is going to cause irreparable harm to India. I'll just state a few international statistics. Press freedom index, we have come down to 150 from 80. Environmental performance, we have fallen by 55 points. We are now the 4th worst country in the world, established and no contest. Global hunger index has been contested, but I'll still quote it that we are of the worst in the world, one of the worst. Global gender index, we have reached a stage below Bangladesh. On healthcare and many other precedents, but I'll not take more time on this. This is only a backgrounder of where we stand so that we don't suffer from dangerous delusions. 5% of the Indians own more than 60%. I'm repeating this Oxfam report only to hammer down the point that this wealth could not have been taken out from the poor to enrich a particular small group without a conducive legal and economic regime. So you know it, I know it, that willingly or unwillingly we have colluded to enrich a small group, and this inequality will be of dangerous harm.
Honorable member,
Sir.
your reflection is limited to your knowledge.
Sir.
To the extent what I know, the moment I reflect, you will say, I am responding to the debate. I have been away all over in the world twice and felt something, which we will share outside the house.
Take me with you next time.
So I do not share your perception at the moment. You said we both agree. No.
Okay, sir.
Please go ahead. Please conclude.
Sir, the humble suggestion that I make, Oxfam has come up with a wealth tax suggestion. The dangerous amount of concentration of wealth, where 102 billionaires have now turned out to be 142, needs to be contributing more to the national economy. It was a higher percentage, 3.4% of the GDP, which has now come down to 2.4. Now, what I'm saying is that while I take cognizance of the Oxfam report recommendation, I would submit that we feel wealth tax is regressive. We feel wealth tax is regressive. We submit for a tax on securitization. All the share value and market capitalization is utilized by everyone, not Adani only, everyone to gain loans. That is an act of securitization. A top skimming can surely be made on that. We are pleading for a securitization tax that would go above a level and hit only a certain class, not the middle class.
Thank you.
So this one, sir, I come now to the budget. The fiscal deficit is still dangerously high. The government has reduced it, it's a fact, but we have come to 6.4. We are aiming for 5.9. God bless, we may achieve 5.9, but it's nowhere near the ideal of 3%. We have to find ways and measures. And one of the measures that I would suggest is that our tax to GDP ratio is one of the worst in the world. In a country of our consequence, it's one of the worst. In the sense that while the West has a tax to GDP ratio of as high as 40%, the capitalist countries have 40% tax to GDP ratio. India has increased from 10.3 to 11.7. So, which will not give any government, not this government, any government will not have resources to fulfill commitments. This needs a serious thought. This needs a serious examination by all. Now, 40% of the budget is going for consists of borrowing. This is dangerous. All governments have done it, but I would still submit that this is dangerous. 40% of whatever tax revenue goes for interest repayment, 46%. Most nations have a ratio of 8 to 12%, and we are there at such a high level of repayment. India has, India has now 24% of its budget going into repayment. Fiscal deficit is nothing but a debt burden. Fiscal deficit will only improve, only make the situation worse. But added to the fiscal deficit, the root problem of it all, sir, is a current account deficit. $100 billion is our deficit with China. And all the Indians who said repatriation constitute that 100 billion. Where will we get the resources from? Another point is that this government has stressed on capital expenditure. 2 comments only. This capital expenditure of 10 lakh crore by the government indicates a complete failure of the private sector to invest. The private sector has not invested and no measures have been taken.
Please
we have exempted the
conclude.
3.5 lakhs by way of corporate tax, but we have not been able to bring in animal spirits in them.
Please conclude.
The second part, sir, I would submit, is that capital assets has a dangerous link with corruption, contracts and corruption.
Yes.
It leads to a contractocracy. I fear that. We have cut down corporate taxes so severely from 30% to 22%, and my projected loss is 3.5 lakh crores foregone. We have mentioned of the tax to GDP. Sir, we call ourselves Vishwaguru. I take pride also. When I see terms like Vishwaguru, I also take pride. I'm an Indian and very much a part of the governance. But when we look at reality, away from the clapping and self-adulation, we will see that India has a population of 17.7%, and our contribution to the world economy is 1.42. 1.42. How can 1.42
Yes.
of the world economy
conclude.
ever claim? So we need introspection. We need introspection here. We need to find out the reality.
Finally.
Sir, 17.7% contributing to just 1.42%. Per capita income, we can go by the entire GDP's comparisons from very different angles, but there's still...
Honorable member, please conclude.
Sir, I have 15 minutes.
I'll give you please.
15 minutes. Aapke dayan par.
And you are making
just-
your points very impactfully.
Sir, just a few sharp points. Sir, I made a calculation. We submitted it on the press, on the media, and I've sent a copy to the finance minister, to the MOS Finance, to verify the figures that I'm mentioning now in the House as a matter of record.
Thank you.
In the last 8 years, the total NPA has been 65.5 lakh crores. 65.5 lakh. Correct me if I'm wrong. Number 2, after all deductions, the write-off on the NPA has turned out to be 14.5 lakh crores. 14.5 lakh crores, even if you go in for recoveries after NPA, which happens at 13%, 14%, I am deducting 20%. Yes. There is no explanation for 12 lakh crores in 8 years. It has never happened in Indian history.
Thank you, Mr.
Sir,
Jawhar
12
Sircar.
lakh crore.
Thank you.
No, 12 lakh crore, we need to find out where it went, because it went to people who were not punished.
Thank you, sir.
People have got out with immunity.
Siri.
Sir, on food, sir, one word on food only. On food, I would submit that while the government has got into this system of providing free food, and I don't think any government can take it away, but this left-handed compliment that it has paid this year is a reduction of from 2.8 lakh crores to 1.9 lakh crores. That means almost 1 lakh crores saved by the government. So what does saved by the government means? It means a poor who don't get free food will now have to go to the market and buy it.
Thank you.
3 rupiah ka chawal, 3 rupiah ka jagah, 30 rupiah. This is an infliction on the people.
Thank you.
We have also mentioned Narega, health. Health, we are just 86,000 crores. Sir, can a respectable Vishwaguru nation do
Thank you,
Mr.
Sircar.
crores? Education, sir, again, a disaster of 1.12. Now the education ministry is making up figures. Every time I ask them, they give me 2 figures. One is, we spend 1 lakh crore from the central government, from the education ministry, and the central government spends 2.3.
Thank you.
Where does 1.6 come from?
Shri P.